Hey, everybody. Welcome back to your Dawn of Autonomy podcast. I'm Dawn Zoldi, your host, CEO of P3 Tech Consulting and publisher at Autonomy Global. It is April 1st. Happy April Fool's Day. We're not going to fool you today. Instead, we are going to talk about UTM and infrastructure as we kick off a month dedicated to that theme, sponsored by Airspace Link. And who better to speak on this topic than the company's CEO, Michael Healander. So, welcome back to the show, Michael.
Always great to be here, Don. We always have a good time.
I know Michael has been on the show. I feel like we have the whole anthology of Airspace Link on our Autonomy Global Network YouTube channel, and but it's awesome because you guys have been around for a while and just continue to grow and soar. And we're going to talk about all the latest updates today. But before we do that, Michael, could you just for those that don't know you, and there's probably like maybe two people watching, so let's just tell them that
Yeah.
30-second elevator bio, like who you are and where you come from.
Okay. Co-founder and CEO of Airspace Link. We started the company about 7 years ago with the vision of safely and securely integrating drones into the national airspace and into communities at scale. And I think that's held true since we started the company. We do not fly drones. We do not build drones. We build the tools to help operators support recreational users, Part 107, waivers, COAs, Part 91, 108 readiness, UTM, and 135 operators, all within the same platform. Just making sure that people have the tools to fly safely and also securing our airspace at the same time.
Yeah, I love that. And you've got an incredible team there. In fact, I know we've got a team shot. So let's just pop it up because you guys have won awards for, one of the best workplaces. You're in Detroit, Michigan. You're going to be really featured and showcased during Exponential, which is upcoming next month. But here's the team. And you guys moved to an amazing location. Tell everybody just real quick where you guys are located.
Yeah, so, we're mostly software engineers. We had a building in downtown Detroit, but we couldn't see the operators operating. So we did move about 3 years ago to Michigan Central, which is attracting drone manufacturers. I think close to 17 companies have moved to Michigan Central, drone-related companies, so that they can fly operations. We wanted to be closer to those OEMs, closer to the operators, watch them using our system, understanding what works, doesn't work. And we just love the facility. It is now supporting 7 BVLOS waivers, all in the same area at the same time today. There's a bunch of operators. One is trying to get, 135 certification, so they're flying tons of hours. We got one doing security drone flights. We have one doing media for the news media company.
Wow.
There's all different operators operating in the same environment at the same time. It's pretty neat to watch our system orchestrating that.
It is. And I've had the pleasure of actually seeing your place going out there. I think it was like a year and a half ago. You guys held an event in November, and you've got some stuff up on your actual rooftop, as well as across the street. You've got a whole ops center. Do you want to tell people a little bit about that? Because I know you're doing operations out of there as well.
Yeah. So, we are a tenant in the building. We do have a contract with the building to help and provide our system at no cost or low cost to people that fly there. And what the facility decided to do is say, well, let's buy all the infrastructure to support any type of operator that may want to use it. So I'll drop some names there. So UAVionics technology is deployed here, aerial defense, Accipiter radar, True Weather. So these different systems are deployed to ADS-B systems, C2 radios, all permitted, all running to support those operations 3 to 6 miles out for people to fly operations in an urban area. The building decided to take it further where you can rent space on the roof, which is the first 2 permitted drone ports in the state of Michigan.
Wow.
MDOT Aeronautics used the building as a guinea pig to go through the first process, and then we got the second one, another larger deployment area for larger aircraft in the parking lot. Yeah, so it gives a place people can rent space here now. It's access controlled. It's even LEDs if someone's coming to land or take off. It shuts out. It has cameraing systems to see if anyone's in the takeoff and landing, and operators have access to all that. Then up on the 11th floor, 12th floor, it moves a little bit. There's an operations center where I was just up there this morning watching Blue Flight. They are running operations all day for 8 hours today, running operations. Some of it's still under visual line of sight, so they have an observer that can see, like an air traffic control tower, but they are leveraging all the assets of the facility. And yeah, and it's supplied with 20-foot screens and seating and different operators operating in the same environment. It's pretty neat. So
It is pretty cool. So
yeah.
remind me, Michael, I'm just getting the visual in my brain. Like you're in, what's the building you're called?
It's the new lab book depository building, which is more of like a startup hub for mobility companies.
Yep. And then across the street is
The old train station, Michigan Central, that is about almost a $2 billion build out for this entire area by Bill Ford. And it's about mobility and technology. And they're trying to dedicate that entire 11th floor to drone operators to come and operate in an urban area and attract operators to come fly, but not just for testing, but with customers. So with, a hospital here to do medical delivery,
wow.
with, Little Caesars Pizza, with the City of Detroit DFR program, with the channel 4 or 7, whatever channel it is, and so on, and then bringing them to actually do work with a customer.
Well, this is great context and background. I wanted to go through this a little bit. For those that want to learn more, we have a great article on Autonomy Global on the webpage about Michigan and this ecosystem that has been built out. That Airspace Link has been, frankly, part of spearheading. I'll use that word. And so much more happening. So I want to talk about AirHub Portal, this basically amazing product that you guys have put out, this software that's bringing all of these operations together in a holistic way. For those that aren't overly familiar with it, check out the worldwide premiere of AirHub Portal. We had Colby Free from Airspace Link talking about it. He literally walks you through the interfaces. You can see it. I know it's evolved and changed over time, Michael, but give us kind of that high level overview of what AirHub Portal does and what it brings to the fight, if you will.
Yeah, so I think AirHub Portal is a platform. We really built it as a platform. Anything we see from an interface is actually built on our APIs. We have a whole segment sales team selling our APIs into other OEMs and other software products. Name a lot of biggest software drone companies out there. We're inside of it. Some of the biggest OEMs in the United States, we're inside of it. So that platform allows us to do a lot. And what it does is allows us to plug in all the different use cases that are required to support drones. So before you fly, we make sure we have the most authoritative data for recreational pilots and anyone that wants to fly, make sure they understand what's happening in the airspace. Part 107 pilots, further coordination under 107, BVLOS waivers, Part 91, all those rules and regulations, even the policies, not even the FAA policies, but you can overlay your own policies, whether it be a commercial company or a city. And then you get into 135 operators and their requirements. And now UTM, we're a UTM NTAP approved system supporting operators that are flying multiple BVLOS operators at the same area at the same time. So they're strategically deconflicting, and the Air Force too. So we're deployed with the Air Force. So taking the same exact platform, you can fly as a recreational pilot, and then you can that night be working on an Air Force base and tie into the Air Force Base Operational Center to fly on base. Airspace Link, you can do it all within a single platform.
It's amazing. I know we're going to talk about counter UAS, which also interfaces with your platform. We're going to talk about that at length here in a second.
Yes.
But I don't want to gloss over something you just said, which is critically important. So for those that don't know, the NTAP is the near-term approval process. This is the process to get USSs or UAS service suppliers certified early, if you will, before this Part 146 comes out officially. Yep. If you guys recall, Part 108 was the Beyond Visual Line of Sight, or BVLOS proposed rule. That rulemaking is in an interesting phase. Michael's going to give us, we're going to do a drum roll here because Michael's got some great information about this, but I want to celebrate this win for you guys getting the NTAP approval. Can you just very briefly explain the ramifications of that? In other words, the significance of that approval and what that means for you and all of your customers now and in the future?
Yeah, so we are onboarding, I think, and even slow rolling a few, 10 of them, different organizations, commercial and public sector, onto the network. And the reason and the demand for that is it's not required, but it is we are getting what's called operational density. That is the large drone, we'll say package delivery operators are deploying to a location. Well, those locations tend to cover 10 cities because
Yeah,
their drones fly out so far.
right.
Well, as we know, DFR is ramping up. So
And
now we
that's
have
drone as first responder for those that
drones as
don't
first
know, most people
responder
would, but that's the whole deal.
overlapping. And
Yep.
we have our, one of our biggest demands is we have a city that has DFR running, and then the county sheriff's department is flying drones as a first responder, and then a large logistics package delivery company is flying all in the same area of space
Hey,
at the
yeah.
same time. And they are currently and were using, dashboards and calling up and emailing where they're flying. That
Yes.
does not work. That
No.
is where UTM strategic deconfliction comes in, and you create the operation, your intent. It will tell you if you're overlapping another operator. You adjust your altitude through our system, and so on. So we're providing it as a feature to our platform that folks are already starting to use because the operational density is getting so high. So that's exciting.
No, that's very, very exciting. So congratulations on that. That's huge. And I want to talk now a little bit about the counter UAS aspect, because look, Michael, I've been saying this forever. I've been saying, look, counter UAS is the yin to drone or BVLOS yang, right? Because
Yeah.
you can't fly beyond visual line of sight and then have a careless, clueless criminal or combatant, because now we're at war apparently,
Yes.
operator
It
in
is.
space. And if you're not, you don't have that situational awareness, you don't have
Mm-hmm.
the ability to mitigate, which now, thank God, the Safer Skies Act, needs to be implemented, but now our state, local, tribal, territorial officers can finally do something, which they couldn't do previously. But in terms of that single pane of glass for your infrastructure, how does that integrate? How does counter UAS work?
So I'll use two examples. We'll get into maybe so I can use the example of the county, city, and a commercial operator.
Sure.
So yes, we have strategic deconfliction, but at first they also have a problem as who's that drone flying through? Is
Yeah.
that a
I mean,
county sheriff's
if it's
drone?
not them, right?
Yeah. Is it an Amazon drone? Is it an Alphabet Wing drone? Is it Zipline? Is it who's who? Number
Yeah.
one. So that's counter UA detection. Number one. Who
Yeah.
is who? Friend from foe is where we start as a company.
Yeah.
Get the systems in place so you can at least know who's up there. Because with remote ID and RF detection and radar, Echo Dime, whatever you might have, you can
Yeah.
start to detect, and then you have a better understanding. So get your house in order. We always tell our organizations, make sure you know who's who.
Yeah.
And then you can multi-jurisdictional data sharing between public safety is the other area that we've deployed. And then you're now can tell commercial operators and start whitelisting them. So
Yeah.
as you get so we'll call it Amazon drone flying through your city, you can whitelist that as, okay, we'll know that that's Amazon if we start getting complaints about it. So it starts with uh, operational awareness yourself, then detection to know who's who. Make
Yep.
sure you know who your drones are. You're
Yep.
not shooting down your own drone.
Yep.
Make sure you know whose drones that are a partner of yours, and then know who's commercially flying. Then
And
once you
so,
connect that
go-
together,
yep.
that is what we do. That is and then, so I'll stop there with that commercial operations.
No, I think that's good. We have this image up, Michael, and
Oh yeah, yeah, this is a
you're kind
city,
of like,
Detroit.
you're
That's
talking about connecting the dots, and I'm like looking at
mhm.
this picture, it's all these little dots. So what are we looking at in terms of, those dots and counter
Mhm.
UAS and kind of that situational awareness picture?
Yeah, so what you're seeing here is green is ones that are probably okay, and we can tell what they are. And then the blue is like that's one of our drones. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you have say a TFR or a large event, you can create alerts, and then they'll turn red when they go into those areas and notify certain people. Doesn't mean they're nefarious. It's just that it's good to know that there's a drone flying over a large crowd for a concert. So that's all built into the system too. Um, you can so different colors represent different types of drone, friend, foe, and then and you actually can see where Amazon's line is, where they're flying in from the top left. That is their operational area.
Okay.
And understanding, okay, we have DFR running, there's recreational, and we have commercial operating. We know they're within that circle. So you're starting to paint a picture of everything going on and orchestrating all of it.
Well, and you can see why this is so critically important. So I know you mentioned military. We don't have to go down that road, too deeply, Michael. But
Mm-hmm.
look, we just had swarms of 12 to 15 drones flying over strategic Air Force Base in Barksdale, right
Mm-hmm.
in near Bossier City, Louisiana. Nobody can say what these things were, which is kind of insane to me, to be honest. And so and we have the FIFA World Cup games coming up. We've got the 250th US birthday celebration coming up. Couple years just right around the corner, we're going to have the Olympics in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've been on the cutting edge of some of the planning efforts, definitely for the FIFA World Games. So can you tell us a little bit about the infrastructure and how critical that is? And everybody, I was at Drone Responders a couple weeks ago. They actually had a panel about airspace awareness. One of the FIFA people that's in the planning cell was on that panel. Article, if not already out, coming out. Abby Smith is writing that.
Mm-hmm.
But just the scope and scale of this thing. I know there's like 11 quote unquote FIFA states, we'll call it, or
Yeah.
areas, but like 600 sites we're talking about. And you've been involved in this. So can you just elaborate a little bit about the criticality of infrastructure and how you guys are playing a key role?
Yeah. So as of right now, we're sitting in about 5 of the I'll call metro areas. One in particular has been moving pretty quickly and probably one of the most efficient. They're going to do their own article, so I won't be able to mention it, but I
That's
can tell you
fine.
what it's going through. So we are working with 3 different drone detection systems. So we're sensor agnostic. So we are one was already down there, already set up. You can imagine with the NFL, the stadiums, and stuff like that. One was selected through. I think they had a 10 to $20 million buying another type of detection system. And then
Wow.
some other detection system that will be used by, it depends, whether it be FBI. So those are all being wired into our system as a seamless view of everything that's happening in the airspace. So it's taking those different detections. Then we're having to integrate multi-agency, multi-jurisdictional. They are bringing in mutual aid. Well, it covers multiple cities and counties and state. And we have multiple states, by the way, in some of these locations. And we're having to pull them into this common operating center because they're all going to fly drones too.
Yeah.
So we're registering them all, and we have a thing. We have the main customer, the main city, as a master system, and then the cities can connect into that platform and start sharing their drone information and volume intents to each other. So you have complete package of all the public safety agencies, fire, police from different cities, all operating in the same area in the same system. So now they're all blue listed drones, and you get your detection areas. You have your now we start to have media drones coming in. Now they're going to
Yeah.
have a policy, put in your media drones. Even if they shoot their media drones in the air, they can click on our map and actually say, okay, we know what drone this is. We're going to register it with the media. They're going to always be operating over this event. And then when the soccer players come in for their training, they tend to bring drones too during the practice fields. So how do we
Wow.
register them in the system? So we
Yeah.
have that set up. Then the TF are only going to be at certain times, and they're not many. There's really not many times that they're going to be TFR. So we are going to have a lot of drones operating, which they think will probably be legal. It's just going to be those large events and practice fields that which will be going on. So we have airspace awareness, multi-jurisdictional integration going on, alerting when a drone comes in that we aren't sure of, and then there's the actual counter UAS. And within these cities, there's 1 or 2, maybe more, people that are being deputized
Yeah.
at Huntsville that are being taught a lot of paperwork too on what to do when they take out a drone, what to do after they've taken it out. So some of the state and local government are being deputized for
Yeah.
actual taking the drones down. So all that to say, it's a little crazy out there. The funding
Yeah.
is
Oh
still
my God.
tied up
Well,
in some of the cities.
and
It's
Michael, I mean, you were talking about counter UAS, but like, and we mentioned it earlier, the DFR, the sheriff's drones, the police drones, like all of those are going to be in the mix too. And
you
by the
got
way,
it.
everybody, this Redstone Arsenal, I think, is what you're mentioning here in Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah.
That is the FBI DHS Training Center for Counter UAS under the Safer Skies Act. Great
Yes.
article, everybody, by Tom Adams from Drone Shield on Autonomy Global, outlining how they're running that, the fact they are deputizing people. So really exciting times. Finally, authorities catching up. Hopefully, the training will, and you guys are at the bleeding edge here in terms of like pulling all of this together. Holy shnikes. This is really important, Michael. You said
It,
something earlier. I'm going to do the drum roll because I forgot. I wrote a
oh
note.
yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you guys can hear me banging on my desk here in my Marriott in Boulder, Colorado, but part 108, part
Yeah. So
146, where are we, man?
I can only talk to the rumor mill. How about that?
Yeah.
I'll say this
Tell me the
without being
rumors. Tell me the
there. I'll tell you what
rumors.
the rumor is that a couple weeks ago that the Part 108 was finalized within the FAA. Again, I'm not going
Wow.
to definitely say that's a definite
Yeah.
on your show, but that is the rumor that it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was finalized, submitted to DOT. We've heard through the rumor mill that they do want to move it through faster than what they thought. There are some things that a lot of folks aren't happy about within
Mhm.
the final rule
Yeah.
that they're going to push back on. But we're hearing they're going to push it through fast and potentially have a Part 108.1. Imagine like an addendum later.
Yeah. Well, listen, look, I know perfect can be the enemy of the good, and I get that.
Hmm.
Uh, what I'm worried about are maybe some attorneys out there that might have a client or something that,
Yes.
how about a lawsuit that locked this thing up for 2 years, like we
It,
saw with remote ID? I mean, man, that would set us all back. So let's hope the good enough really is good enough.
Yeah, there's some thrashing around out there, I'll be honest. And just so you know where it's at, it does go to um, DOT right now, and then it will then move into OMB, Office of Managed Budgets, to make
Yeah.
sure it aligns with the executive orders. That
Yep.
usually takes 30 to 60 days. Comes out to rulemaking, maybe another 30 to 60 days till it's enacted. So you're looking at, June to September, maybe time frame that this starts to
Yeah.
really come through. But, we're really wanting to get our eyes on it. I think we're
Yeah.
seeing if it leaks out a bit. But there is some detect and avoid items out there. Different operators agree, don't agree. It's kind of like, let's get it out there and then
Yeah.
make adjustments. But you're right, it could get blocked really. It could get slowed down again. And
Yeah,
I
and
think
let's
we're all
hope not.
hoping.
But let's talk about how Airspace Link is posturing
Mhm.
yourself and your clients and your prospective clients for success in this new, I'll call it era. I don't want to use that AI word because like, it'll show up in my article or something. But in the new like 108, 146 era, like how are you guys setting yourselves and others up for success, knowing, not exactly knowing what it's going to be, but with probably a pretty good idea of what it probably will say.
Mhm. Yeah, we're making quite the investment right now.
Yeah.
We have for years. I
Yeah.
mean, we got to build Lance and before you fly, and then all the features and capabilities our
Remote
customers keep asking
ID
for.
and yeah,
Yep.
plugging in the policies and
The
now
UTM
yes,
and now
UTM.
the UTM it's not as easy. It's not straightforward. It is complex. Like, yes, you can have a UTM, but then you want to have trajectory UTM. And then if it's for public safety, they're going to be zipping around and we don't want to upset, you know, Amazon, Zipline or Wing.
Yeah.
So our job, we're not vertically integrated. So we need to make sure anyone that doesn't have $1 billion budget can buy a UTM, get onboarded, and just close parts of the airspace. And we like to think about what we're doing with our system as like a centipede system. It is, it's creating the flight plan. It is opening, shutting down the airspace, and as that drone flies through and the telemetry, reopen it. And what that
Yeah.
does is it closes the airspace for the least amount of time. Um,
Okay. Okay. So
so on
yeah,
the
I think I was talking to Rich Faley on your team, and he's calling it almost like the digital highway that you guys are kind of enabling, if you will. in the sky. And, I know that might evoke some ideas of what do they call it? Like not the columns, but you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Which is not what the FAA wants it to be completely
Mhm.
integrated, but you're absolutely right. As a
These are
practical matter,
dynamic. So
yeah,
this is our NTAP system is, I wouldn't say it's highways in the sky, but it's temporary. It's only for the period of time that I need to get a DFR drone from here to there, and I
yeah,
need to make sure I'm not going to run into overlapping in an Amazon or Zipline or CSX drone because they're
yeah,
flying beyond, and that's what it does, and it will tell you. So our system works today. So when you create a flight and you're on the UTM, it'll say, hey, you are overlapping someone else's flight. You need to change your altitude or change
yeah.
your time. And
Wow.
that's what it does. And you
Okay.
can automate that process. The one thing is a little bit of controversy right now is that we just added, again, this is through the USUTM group, and FAA is prioritization of public safety. So we now have an emergency button in our system that allows a public safety agency to say this is an emergency operation. It will not stop them from flying. It will notify any flights that they're overlapping other commercial operators to let them know that there's an emergency operation happening. Uh,
Okay, well that's key. Sadly, it's like the one briefing that I really wanted to see that I missed at Drone Responders NACON was the NASA speaking about this public safety prioritization
yeah.
research they're doing. So it's awesome to hear you've got the big red button somebody can push and
Hmm.
say, hey, we need to be flying, like just send the alert out, let everybody know. I don't know how you would even stop or how you could like deflect people and make them get out of the way. I don't know that that's
It
even.
notifies them at least, because right
Yeah,
now we have what's called an operational density problem we're working. I'm like, we have in our office, we bring in like 7 cities,
yeah,
and it's a drone. Michigan Drone Association actually brought in, a bunch of operators and large logistics commercial, and we sat in this room that I'm sitting in right now
yeah,
2 weeks ago, saying, look at all the close calls we're having, and how do we better communicate versus just looking on a screen that we're about to overlap. And that's
yeah,
where UTM strategic deconfliction starts to come into play. You will
yes,
still have tactical. That is the next thing, is that's where counter UAS data is starting to come in handy, because visual line of sight operators don't have to tell you where they're operating in Class
that's
G
true.
airspace.
That's
Well,
true.
we're starting to see a lot of close calls with just visual line of sight operators and BVLOS operators, and visual line of sight operators are supposed to give way to these BVLOS operators, but they don't. How do they know that's a BVLOS operator? So
Yeah,
we're watching that happening live all the time in our system because we're supporting recreational
yeah.
107 and everyone. It's a
You
wild
know,
ride right now.
that is you know what? I never really thought about that, Michael, in terms of, we always think about, oh, the extra training that the BVLOS operators are going to need to be able to operate that way. But it's almost like there needs to be additional 107 education about this, right? Like,
Yeah.
hey, your airspace is going to get hyper congested, and like accessing, I think, a platform like AirHub portal for even the 107 people, it almost should be like a requirement where people know what's happening in their space, not
Hmm.
just, some random map they can pull up and hope it's all good, especially
Hmm.
like you said, with those dynamic pop-ups, if you will,
Yeah.
of all of a sudden emergency DFR, or like there's an organ delivery and
Yeah.
this kidney's got to get across town, otherwise this person's going to die. Um, wow. Well, I'm glad you and your team are involved in this. And for those that don't know, Michael has such a rich background in GIS, geospatial. I know that's kind of your origin story, if you will, and how
Yes.
you kind of visualized this future that we're now in, that you've helped build. So really cool. And for those that don't know, Michael will actually, if you want to meet him in person, he's going to be moderating our third State of the States panel for Law Tech Connect, workshop number 5 at Exponential. So check that out. It's going to be awesome. I know you're going to be represent Michigan well. Um, but to hear what some of the other folks are doing in other states, it's just kind
Yeah.
of a very, very interesting inflection point. So, all right, wow, we've covered a lot of ground, and I
We
know
have.
there's much more to cover. So, tell me, so many things have changed. You've got this NTAP approval now. You're deep into the FIFA planning. and working with a bunch of these host cities and areas. And of course, Michigan, right?
Mhm.
And Detroit and everything going on there. What else, Michael? Like, what else do you want to talk about? Because there
Yeah.
is just so much. We've only scratched the surface.
Yeah. So we are so on the obviously we're at war right now.
Yeah,
We have deployed, and we publicly talk about we can't talk about all of them, but Air
yeah,
Force. Air Force is a great example of their moving forward. Joint Base Charleston was one of the first we started with about a year and a half ago to deploy a system that we saw that same problem that FIFA's having.
yeah,
Their joint base is complicated. That is, they have Army on there. They have
yeah,
civilian operators. They want to fly their own drones. Air Force does on their own property to
yep,
inspect their aircraft. Um, and they're like, well, who's who? And then they have problems with drones outside the fence line, and they
yes,
don't have access to that. So how do they build a system that everyone has complete awareness? So that's what we did. Our team deployed our system to allow the base commander to have a centralized system that if you want to fly a drone on base, use our platform. He knows who they are. They have a checklist policy before you fly. It has to be approval by certain people. They even took it to the point where once that was running, whoever wants to fly a drone on campus, once we had it running, they went and got a Skydio dock. So we were able to get a Skydio dock on there. And then within a few weeks, we were able to get them a BVLOS waiver on their own property. So now they have our system can launch or at least direct the Skydio dock to take off to do security flights. And now a company called Zero Eyes is installed on top of the Skydio that can do gun detection and security and people that are walking around with guns on the property. So it
oh
was
wow,
pretty neat for our watch our system go from no one can do anything with drones and to now it's fully operational where people can fly drones beyond visual line of sight on Joint Base Charleston, and then connecting that system to public safety outside the fence line. And now they can share their data. So if they see a drone outside the fence line, is that a sheriff's drone? Is that a police drone? They can quickly know. If it's not, they can actually communicate to that public safety agency that we have a problem with a drone outside the fence line. And then we have detection all involved too. So the detection is now that we know who's who and we see a drone coming on to the property that isn't in the system, now you know friend from foe.
that is amazing. I'm giving you the big heart symbol here because as a former Air Force JAG, that was a huge drone advocate trying to get stuff done on the United States Air Force Academy. Because like,
Mm-hmm.
when you look at any base, it doesn't matter, any military base in the continental United States anyway, it's like a mini city. I
It
mean, you're
is. Yeah.
absolutely right. And you're learning this now, right? But, I was looking around thinking exactly what you said. Why are we not using drones like the civil engineers, right, to
Mm-hmm.
inspect the flight line? Why are the security forces members not using it for security? And every now and again, over time, I'd hear like, "Oh, look, Travis Air Force Base, they got the drone dogs, and they got some drones, and they're like, they're one of the first." And so to hear Joint Base Charleston doing this and working with you, it really just warms my heart because man, it's just a matter of time. It's almost funny, right, Michael? Because usually, the military is kind of first when it comes to tech. And it
Mm-hmm.
seems like lately it's been like almost the opposite, where
Yeah.
you've kind of, let's call it, perfected the use case on the civilian or the commercial side.
Dual use. Yep.
Yeah, and you said, look, you guys are a city. Why are you not doing this? And
Mm-hmm.
they bought into it, and now they're fully operational. So good on you. I hope other bases and other military folks are listening right now. Think Barksdale.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, come
And we're
on.
trying to come from the top down. To be honest, like we have
Yeah,
all this great data and we can zoom into that. We also have another Air Force base, very prestigious one, but they're two separate organizations, and we can
yeah.
zoom into them. We can, but it should be rolled up to I can be the national level and be able to see everything going on, and then zoom into a base. But then that base has their own system that they manage, and that's where we really want to see this go. At that scale, is like it should not be fragmented. This is a major need for security, but it's also they're using operational using drones in live fire training, whatever that might be. Airspace
Yeah.
Link doesn't see themselves being on the warfighter side, but force
Yeah.
protection and operation of these called mini cities,
Yeah.
we have a solution that's ready to go right now.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's too hard. I think there could be a national, some kind of a like ops center, like you talked about.
Yes.
Probably, I think U.S. Northern Command, which has been involved in the Barksdale incident, sending away a flyaway kit after the fact, for counter drone.
Yeah.
Um, but in terms of, let's just say Joint Base Charleston down there. They are all different. They are all part of different commands. I know the
Yes.
structure. So they definitely need to have their own thing because like every city, their mission and their environment and everything else is going to be unique. But if there's pieces and parts that can be like fed up to a mothership for whatever purpose, that could make sense too. I don't know what that looks like. I haven't thought about it, but you give me something to
Yeah.
think about, Michael. Happy to talk
Yeah.
to you offline because drone policy is what I used to do in my old life for the DoD. So
Okay.
I
Well,
think
you
they're
need to
still
give it
using
Colby
the one
because
I wrote. Yeah,
there's a lot of activity, as you can imagine, with
yeah,
drones and flying over, and they think they're all trying to come up with solutions, and some folks are coming up with their own. We were lucky to get in early on some of them, and
yeah.
now we've basically built out a blueprint and all the reports required to deploy this under their standard process. So
That's
um,
cool.
it's
I love
exciting. It's
that.
a huge opportunity for Airspace Link that we are getting individual locations. And you're right, each environment, one is in another country right now. It's still a
Wow.
U.S. base, but it's the same process. Any operations that
Well,
will happen on base, it's almost like our LANC system where you go to
yeah,
fly and you communicate to air traffic control tower. All we did is in another country, it was like anyone on base, it's going to me. Instead, like it
yeah,
is on my facility, and I want to know where everyone's flying and make sure I can click on a button saying you're okay, you're approved.
yeah.
Um, so that is what we did is
It's it's so interesting, like as I listen to you, Michael, and think about all the training involved too for all the people involved in all of these different pieces and parts of what you're talking about. The one area that I still think is lacking in a big way are those attorneys that advise whether it's the police that are doing
Mhm.
DFR, whether, and getting that call 3 a.m. on a warrant based on a drone
Yeah.
surveillance, whether it's the Air Force JAG now at Ramstein. I'm just making up. I don't know what base you're talking about. So just don't take that to the bank, people. I'm just saying Ramstein Air Force Base hypothetically, that JAG out there and all the different laws and international treaties that would apply to these operations. So the whole policy piece that you talked about that you layer in, there's a lot more to it and a lot more training. So I'm excited though. I think we're at a great inflection point. Like I said, you guys are a big part of this. So we are getting close to time. I know
Okay.
why we've covered so much. We've got maybe like 5 minutes left. Talk to me a little bit about, I know you've got a lot of things coming up, especially with exponential being in your backyard.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to talk about, some of the things people should be adding to their
Yeah.
to-do list when they're out there in your neck of the woods.
Well, there's always a party. I'll talk about that in a minute. It is at our office, which is pretty neat. The Great Lakes chapter party will be at Michigan Central or uh, Book Depository Building. I think it's between both. I'm not even exactly sure. Rich is in charge of
A
that.
big street party.
The big party. I'm excited for that. We will have quite a few drones flying around, local drones too. Birdstop is a company that just moved their manufacturing to Michigan too. Will be operating. Blue Flight will be operating here. Different, more startup-y, and then probably some of the larger ones will be operating. We actually have an agreement with the state to onboard a couple of these operators into the UTM. So they will actually be flying UTM and be compatible with some of we'll call them the bigs that might even come and operate. So we're onboarding some of them into the UTM so that they will be flying UTM during the conference, strategically deconflicting if other operators decide to come. They will be all cooperative with each other.
Wow.
So.
That is amazing. So that is great.
And then the
And
party, yeah, and there'll be drone. So you'll see the drone ports and stuff like that. I'm not sure of the exact layout, but I'm sure Detroit will try and compete with, was it Texas last year? I know
Yeah,
they did
that
a
was
good job last year.
Adrian Doko always,
Yeah, he
take
gave
his,
me the hat. It's sitting over there. I should have grabbed it.
there
And
you
so
go.
he
It's
handed
always
it to me and said, "All
everything's
right, we're
bigger
handing
in
off to
Texas,
you."
my friend. Everything is bigger in
Yeah,
Texas.
so
I
we're
don't
trying to
know. It's
we're
those are
giving
big.
the Detroit vibe. We're
Those are
going to try and do the electronic music. We'll see more of
all
that,
right.
a little
All
bit
right.
more of
Very
that
good.
vibe.
Yeah, so I think you guys are doing this party Wednesday evening. We're going to be doing
And
our
does that overlap with you too? I think
it
it
does,
does.
but
Darn it.
ours is going to kick off at 5:30. Yours is a little bit later, so I'm telling you,
Okay.
come on down the Five
We'll figure
Iron
out how to
Bar,
do it. I'll figure out how
make
to
your
get over
way
there. I just
over.
realized that.
Yeah,
When you
yeah,
just said that, I was like,
it's all good. We're gonna we'll bring our gaggle over, and hopefully some folks can come over, grab a beer with us,
yeah,
on route, and we'll all be together. So it's gonna be a fun night Wednesday night. Really looking forward to
we'll
it.
get some shuttles back and forth.
Yeah, that would be cool. But all right, very good, very good. So Michael, other than people, seeing you guys in Detroit, how, where else are you guys going to be? How else can people learn more?
Yeah, please reach out to us on any side of this counter UAS FIFA funding. There's another 250 million coming down to metro areas in the United States. So we are targeting those metro areas. And again, those cities that, or if you're part of a city or DFR program, or you are integrating with large package delivery companies, I mean, we are sitting in the room, putting them side by side, and a lot of public safety agencies, we're able to get them in the same room because we don't want to stop anyone from operating, but we also want to make sure that we aren't delivering packages to a fire. It's been happening. So,
Yeah,
how do you notify that? And drones blocking other drones from flying. So we're really trying to be that neutral platform and find that balance and make sure everyone can operate at scale.
awesome, awesome. So yeah, absolutely check out their
Our
website.
website, get a hold of us.
Yep, get a hold of them. I know in July you guys always have a presence at the Esri users conference.
Yeah.
This is a conference. It's funny because I was talking to some of their people, and I was like, some of my people don't know your people, and they looked at me funny, like, what do you mean they don't know
Yeah.
us? And I'm like, I think they use the things they're using, hoover in your geospatial maps in the background, but
Yeah.
they may not appreciate, that they're actually using Esri products.
Yeah.
But this conference is amazing in July, and
I
we'll
think
be doing a live stream
19,000
from
people
there.
in San
Yeah,
Diego. It's gotten bigger, but
yeah,
yeah.
I call it like the mini CES
Mm-hmm.
because they take up like the whole city of
Mm-hmm.
San Diego, a big portion. I mean, they painted the streets with their logos. I
They
mean,
do.
it blew my mind when I
People
went
don't
last.
realize that whole,
They don't realize it is a thing, and it's not just the geospatial types showing up, like the scientists. It's the end users, it's the police,
yeah.
it's the cities, the
They're
DOT.
92%, they're 92% of all state and local governments federal in the United States.
Yeah,
So
and
they're there.
yeah,
And our
so
partnership is, just to give you a sense of why we go there, is because every city we go into, and they're like, hey, we'd like to customize our maps. Well, you can log into your GIS account, pull your authoritative system, push it out to all your operators, pilots, and then they can actually work against their systems and also be in the federal system and the DHS system all at the same time. And it's all mashed up in our dashboards. And that allows them to customize their maps, integrate to their other Esri software packages. And again, those are the people that are map people that can customize the drone experience for
yep,
these pilots. So,
absolutely. So this is early, like kind of the second week of July, I'm going to say, in San
yep,
Diego. So
it
we'll
is.
be doing an AGN live with Airspace link from there. Much more down the pike, of course, commercial UAV in Vegas is always a great time.
Yeah.
So, lots of things happening this year, but the 30-foot target is going to be exponential. So we'll see there. Well, that's all she wrote for now, Michael. Again, it was
Okay.
great. It was a pleasure catching up with you. Thank you again for sponsoring this month
Yeah.
dedicated to UTM and infrastructure. We have a lot of really interesting guests coming up. We've got San Bernardino's airport and
Oh,
their
they're a customer of
UAS
ours.
center. Yeah,
They're a
with
customer of
Dave
ours. We need to
Krause.
get them on a UTM.
There you
There's a
go.
lot of
Well,
stuff
there you go.
yeah,
Yeah, well, make sure
they
you're
have big
tracking our
ambitions.
shows.
big
Yeah.
ambitions, and we hopefully will support them. And we're trying to connect them to the city of Ontario, that corridor, because I don't know how we could share, but they're going to start, blood delivery to crash victims, and how far could
Wow.
they go? So
Okay.
that would, that's good
Yeah.
stuff for San
Yeah.
Bernardino.
So lots of great shows this month is the bottom
That's
line.
great.
I thank you for sponsoring this theme, because it is critically important and it is going to enable the industry. So thank you for what you do. Looking forward to seeing you and the team there in person. And that's all she wrote for now. So we are out here.
So good to see you. Thank you so much.